Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wendy Lam, Director of Corporate Communications of Hong Kong ICPA. Welcome for joining our briefing session today. The panelists will introduce the background and proposed framework for the one-member, one-vote election of the President and Vice Presidents. May I first introduce them to you all. They are the President Raymond Chang, Vice President Rosalind Lee, who are joining us online today, Vice President Ken Lee, the Chief Executive and Registrar Margaret Chan, Executive Director Jonathan Ng, and General Counsel Donald Leo. They are here with us. Now, I would like to invite the President to say a few words. President, please.
Thank you, Wendy. Good afternoon, members. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining this briefing session today, a platform for which we're going to be exchanging views on the proposed frameworks for the one members, one vote for the election of presidents and vice presidents of the Institute. Let me very quickly take you guys back to 3 years ago, which was the 2nd of March 2018, when we had an extraordinary general meeting, EGM, and a resolution was passed, and I quote partially, to consider and take all necessary actions to elect president and vice presidents of the HKICPA by way of conducting a poll, and of which the council members shall cast their votes in accordance with the result of the poll. We stand by the will of our members, and we believe that leaders of the Institute should be accountable to members and should obtain mandates from members directly in discharging their duties and responsibilities. It was a straightforward request from the members seeking for one members, one vote, poll from the general membership. Since the release of this consultation paper, I was being asked 2 questions. The first question is about what happened for the last 3 years, exactly 3 years, since the EGM to the release of this consultation paper. So let me just very briefly take you guys through what happened over the last 3 years. After the EGM, the then council set up a task force in 2018 to consider and the request and investigate as to how the one members, one vote could be implemented. The task force rejected the poll as an interim measure and put forward a recommendation to amend the PAO, Professional Accountants Ordinance, instead. This is, to us, a deviation from the literal meaning of the resolution passed at the EGM. Nevertheless, as it transpires, the then council then sought advice from the Institute Governance Committee in 2019, and then subsequently set up an independent working group, IWG, to conduct a comprehensive study of the current election model in 2020, taking a span of another 2 years to come up with this consultation paper with a proposal of amending the Professional Accountants Ordinance. The IWG is now disbanded, and in view of the fact that 3 years have passed, and the resolution and the members are extremely eager to see the progress. So the consultation was released as it stands. But we would like to take this opportunity to draw members' attention to the covering letter of the consultation paper, reflecting there are divergent and divided views of council members on the proposal of the IWG. And those divergent and divided views are fully reflected in the covering letters to enable members to to be able to make an informed decision. Then although the consultation is considered to be, as you know, pretty controversial, and there are split views from different members of the council, I think we are on the opinion that members' views are of utmost importance. So we are here to listen to members' views, and actually the second question that I was being raised after the release of the consultation was whether or not members are obliged to choose from the 3 options so promulgated in the consultation, option A, B, and C. The answer to that, I think, is no. We are here to listen to members' views. I think the consultation paper is a very good stimulator, if not a catalyst, to stimulate members' interest to express their opinions and views. And if at the end of the day, members preferred to have another model, another option, or have a different model of which a mixture of the option A, B, or C is to be implemented, then we will stand by the will of the majority of our members' view. So we are here to encourage members to form your views and pass your views to us. We treasure your feedbacks. So I think I will stop from here. I would like to invite the 2 vice presidents, maybe to supplement what I just talked about. Then I will pass it to the Chief Executive, Margaret, to explain a little bit more about the consultation paper. Thank you very much.
So let me start first. Good afternoon, dear members. So further to what our president have said, we have about 3 months for the consultation. So please let us know your view. You are not obliged to say yes or no to 3 proposals proposed by the IWG. You can send us your own view, and we'll consolidate your views and flag it to the council, and let the council decide what they should, where we should go. Thank you.
I think the key point here is we don't want to cut corners or deviate from the original request of our members to do the election poll. I think the most important is to have most of the members to give us their view on the consultation paper, whether they think now the current option A, B, C fulfill the original request, or the members have another new idea that they don't want ABC, they don't want the original request, they want another option D. This is the time to express your opinions. I encourage all the members, and including every one of you now here, to express your views. Even though we don't have much attendees on the forum, but we insist we will do that, and we will keep promoting this consultation paper until we got enough feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President and Vice Presidents. Now may I invite Margaret to brief us on the consultation paper. Margaret, please.
Thank you. Thank you, President and Vice Presidents, for the speech and opening, and Wendy. What I would like to do now is to introduce some more background about this consultation paper, and also explain the proposed election model and some key elements of the items that we have just pointed out. So in terms of background, I think President has already clearly explained that what has been done since 2018, the pass of the Resolution 2 in the EGM. And the independent working group, which has been set up in early 2020, had worked out this current proposal for member consultation. And Council, after due consideration, understanding the divergence in the views, would like to put this forward for all members' consideration. And we do invite all members to actively participate in this consultation process. So the election model of PNVP is governed by our Professional Accountants Ordinance, PAO. And in terms of the current provision, the council members shall elect president and vice president from among the 14 elected members. While the EGM proposed a poll to be conducted, as President earlier mentioned, there was a decision that a poll would not be done. Instead of we shall go through a PAO amendment. And the consideration to make up to this decision was that if a poll is conducted and the council members are obliged to follow the poll result to elect the president and vice president, that may be subject to to legal challenges. Because if they need to be applied to the poll result and could not vote in accordance to their free will, then that is not the element of election in terms of the PAO provision. On the other hand, if they elect a member based on their own determination, and if the result is not in accordance with the poll, then we may be subject to challenge by some of the members who may have elected other president or vice presidents. So based on this rationale, a poll was not conducted. So after due consideration, the IWG had came up with the following consultation paper, which has been discussed by the council for consultation. This PO amendment is not an automatic process. It certainly requires support of our members, the government, and also legislative council. And this consultation is a very important step that both the president and the two vice presidents had encouraged every one of you to come forward and give your views to us on what sort of model you think would be most appropriate. And at the bottom line, we would like to make sure that the new election model will not diminish the Institute's public role as a regulator. So I think every member understands that the Institute is a statutory organization responsible for regulation of the whole accounting profession. And this profession has a very important contribution to the development of Hong Kong as an international financial center. We must make sure that we continue to serve the public interest of not just financial statement preparer, and also financial report user. And this financial report user include not just this company investor, but also private investor, the capital provider or the money lender, and also and of course also for the government in IRD, who also rely on this audit accounts very much. And our election model would not like to diminish any public trust and perception for us to act as a regulator in the areas that we outlined in the PowerPoint. So maybe I will go into the proposed election model. As I mentioned earlier, the current model is that all council members would elect the president and vice presidents from among the 14 elected council members. And these 14 elected council members comprises of less than 6 of them from the practicing sector and another 6 of them from the non-practicing sector. And in the new proposed model, we would propose that all CPA members would be electing the president and vice presidents from these 14 elected council members. And each CPA would be able to cast 3 votes, 1 for each of the president and vice presidents. And we also would like to have 1 vice president from the practicing sector and another vice president from the non-practicing sector, provided we do have candidates for each of them. So this would allow a balanced mix and representation among the president and vice presidents. And same as the current mechanism, we would also allow candidate of the president to be candidate of the vice presidents as well in the election process. And this is also allowed in the current election arrangement. So in terms of eligibility of candidates, under the current PAO, of course, the candidate need to be a CPA, need to be an elected council member, and need to ordinarily reside in Hong Kong. And the IWG proposal is that we would like to have some additional requirements as to the quality of the candidate. First of all, the candidate must have clean criminal and disciplinary records, which means that the candidate would have no criminal offense against issues of integrity under PAO or other indicable offense. And in terms of regulatory records, we expect the candidate should not have removed from membership because of disciplinary order. And in the past 5 years, the candidate should not have other serious disciplinary orders, which is more serious than just a disapproval letter. The disapproval letter is very much a private reprimand. And secondly, we also expect the candidate to have good financial standing. That means that in the past 5 years, the candidate should not be in the situation of a bankruptcy or a discharge bankruptcy situation. And I think that also demonstrates the ability of the individual in terms of maintaining a good financial standing. And we suggest that the member should be within the institute membership for at least 7 years. And another aspect of the eligibility criteria is the recency and adequacy of the experience within the council. Currently, the requirement for a candidate of president and vice president is that they must have served on the council for a minimum of 2 years, and a period must be within the past 2 years. And in the new proposal, we suggest that the president must have served the council for a minimum of 4 years, and a vice president candidate must have served the council for a minimum of 3. In drawing up these eligibility criteria, we have actually made reference to other professional and regulatory bodies. The reason that we would like to have clean disciplinary and criminal record is that president and vice presidents are the public face of the accountancy profession. And attorney's reputation may have impact on the perception of the institute, both locally and internationally. And making reference to other professional bodies, we also note that, like in the chartered accountant in England and Wales, they would have a 10-year cooling period for disciplinary order. And for ACCA, they also have 5 years, and similar to CPA Australia. Of course, we also see cases like CPA Australia that there's no automatic disqualification, but that is a self-declaration requirement. So voters are well aware of the requirement on the situation before they cast their vote. And in the case of medical association, there is no cooling off period, and the president or the vice president would immediately vacate the office should there's a disciplinary order occur during the tenure. So for the other aspect around standing and experience, we would like to see that the candidates need to have adequate experience and understanding of the profession and also the council that they are leading. So looking back to the history for the past 10 years, our president has been with the institute as a member for at least 12 years, ranging from 12 to 32 years, with the average of over 20 years of membership with the institute. And they have served the council for a number of years, from 4 to 9, before they are elected as president. And the president always have served for 1 year of vice presidents before they would be candidate of the presidency. For vice presidents, they have served at least 3 years in the council, ranging from 3 to 8 years in the past. So we think that the current requirement is very much in line with what we have been practicing in the past. So we also make reference to other professional bodies in terms of this year of services. We can see that Bar Association, Medical and Dental Association also require their members to have been in their membership for 5 or 10 years before they will be elected as president or vice president. And some require also they have served council for 2 to 3 years. So we think that this is a very logical requirement to demonstrate that the candidate would have relevant experience and understanding of the profession and the council. The second aspect that both the president and vice presidents had mentioned in the opening speech is about the nomination model. We understand that there is no one-size-fits-all model, and there are very complex considerations in terms of the nomination. So IWG had proposed 3 options for members' consultation. Currently, the nomination is among the council, so each candidate would need to be proposed and seconded by 1 council member, so it's 2 written support from council for eligibility to elect to president or vice presidents. And under the new proposal, there are 3 options. Option A is to require cross-sectoral council member support. As I mentioned earlier, within the council, we do have elected members either from the practicing sector or the non-practicing sector. We also have a group of 6 government-appointed lay or ex-officio members. So the recommendation is for the candidate to get at least 2 written support from each of these 3 sectors. And the second option is to have nomination from the bigger membership. To make reference to the requirement of the general meeting, we would suggest that the candidate get at least 100 CPA members to support and be nominated as a candidate of president and vice president. And option C is a mixed model. We would like the candidate to get at least 4 council members support, of which 2 council members from the lay or government ex officio category, and also to have another 100 CPA members support. As we said, there are no perfect answer, and the consideration that we draw up in these 3 options are that we would like to ensure that there are checks and balance in terms of the independent oversight element. As members may aware that the number of lay members has increased in the previous years, and the whole rationale of increasing this government official and lay membership is that because of the public request for an independent regulatory function instead of self-regulatory function for the accountancy profession. So as the institute is still having a self-regulatory element in our regulation, so what we have done is previously we increased the lay member number to maintain the checks and balance of the general public. And given that if we have 1 member, 1 vote for election of president and vice president, the contribution of these lay or government ex officio members in the election of president and vice president will be removed. That is why we would like their participation to be during the nomination process. And having different sector of the council member to support the candidate also reflect that the president and vice president candidates are able to serve the interests of a bigger membership or the public. And with with a number of nomination support within the council, it would help to ensure that the future president and vice president would well work with the council. So as President earlier pointed out, there are a lot of different views in terms of this proposal. And these views has been expressed during council's consideration of the IWG proposal. And I list some of them here. There are no hard and core right or wrong answer to any of this element. Some may say that the president and vice president only has limited power. They only represent one vote in the council. So any change in the election should not impact the institute in the delivering of its regulatory role. But one may say that the perception of public interest being maintained is also important. So we need to be mindful of this figurehead, how this is being drawn out from the membership. And in terms of the requirement on criminal and disciplinary records, one may consider that the system is a bit complex. And as professional members, if proper disclosure is made, we can trust our members to vote the proper candidates from among the candidates. But from the other side, we also see that other professional bodies also codify the basic quality required in terms of disciplinary and criminal records. And this can help uphold the reputation of the institute. And in the nomination process that we recommend, it seems that because there are so complex requirements, whether it would restrict the number of potential members that can be available for election for the bigger membership. On the other hand, one may say that the cross-sectoral endorsement is an important element to ensure that the new president and vice president can work well within the council. And also it maintains the independent oversight element of the institute through this nomination process. In the paper, there is also recommendation that we could put forward some requirement in terms of council member candidates. So the proposal is to require that a CPA need to be with the institute for at least 4 years before they are eligible for election of candidate council. One may say that this would restrict the number of candidates and also discourage some newly qualified members to join the council and lead the institute. But on the other hand, we would also like to make sure that there are adequate experience and understanding of the profession and the council before one would be elected as a member of council, which make all the important decisions of the whole institute. And looking back, actually our council members at least have, in average, have around 15 years of CPA membership before they got elected into the council. Another suggestion is that shall we require there would be a maximum term of office for a council member. In the paper, there is a recommendation that the maximum number of terms would be set to 12 years. And this would allow new blood and rotation of council members. But on the other hand, one may consider that if a council member can get a sufficient support from the general membership, maybe we do not restrict the number of terms that one can serve. So while there are additional elements in terms of the eligibility and nomination criteria, which may seem to be a bit complex, one may say that that also imposes necessary checks and balance to the whole system and demonstrate that there are some requirements codified in our legislation that would demonstrate to the public that we want to protect the public interest as well. So as said, there are very different views around all these options. And this proposed one member, one vote election is a very important change against to the current arrangement. And we would like to have support of majority of the members in a proposal or a system that we would like to put forward for the consideration of the government and the Legislative Council. And that is why your feedback is very important. We have a designated web page you can go into it directly after going through our main page, hongkongicpa.org.hk, where you can find the whole document of the consultation paper. We also have a e-questionnaire that facilitate your response to a lot of questions that we would like to seek your views. There are over 20 questions and a lot of comment box that your other inputs and other options that you would like to propose can be filled in. Of course, alternatively, you can write us an email, and our consultation deadline is in end of May. We would very much like to hear from you so that we could consolidate all the feedback for the council consideration later on. So maybe I will stop here and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Margaret. Here comes the Q&A session. If members have any questions, please feel free to send us your questions through the chat box, and we'll try to address the questions one by one. So I believe members need some time to type in the questions, so we will wait a little bit. Okay, here come the first questions. A member asked, will there be any changes in Hong Kong ICPA's roles after the implementation of one member, one vote election? Will the Institute be able to maintain its self-regulatory role? May I invite the panelists to address to this question?
Maybe I try to start off and see if others has any points to add. I think the current proposal and the different option that we put forward is to want to ensure that we would maintain our self-regulatory role. That is why we also demonstrate that public interest element is being embedded in the model. So with that element, we hope that we can persuade the government and the public at large that we will be able to protect public interest. And then we want to implement our one member, one vote election for president and vice president through different models that we have put forward.
Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, perhaps I can, it's the Raymond Chang, the president. I want to maybe supplement a little bit on this. In respect of the function of the Institute, in particular the regulatory role of the Institute, I think the current proposal for one member, one vote for the election and election of president and vice president, we are not proposing any alteration or any differences in terms of the role of the Institute. We are just proposing a model to elect our president and vice president based on a one members, one vote system. And there may be worries among members or even council members about whether or not our regulatory role would be affected after the implementation of the one members, one vote. Well, my personal view would be we don't want to have any alteration to our regulatory role. The current law under the PAO, the function of the Institute, in particular the regulatory role, rests with the council, the whole council. By electing the president and vice president, it would not alter the authority of the council as a whole. So the regulatory power will still rest with the council as a whole. I think the idea or the spirit behind coming up with this resolution is members wish to have an election of a president or two vice presidents to represent the Institute and to represent members of the profession. They need a representative. They want to elect a representative for the accounting profession. I think that's the spirit behind it. So there would be, I think, I think we should have a very clear distinguish between whether or not this proposal that we are proposing on electing president, vice president. We are not going to be altering the authority, the regulatory role, and the power of the institute, because those would still be rested with the council. So that I would hope that this would clarify a little bit more on this question.
Thank you, President.
Hello, this is Ken. May I supplement a few informations for about the composition of our councils? We have 4 lay members appointed by the government, and we have also have 2 ex officio in the council. So the council made decision on the major policy or the operations of the institute as a whole. So the lay member as the ex officio can speak up in the council meetings as well as vote on those topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Here comes another question. A member asked, why are there so many extra rules before satisfying to be selected as P and VP? 3 of the options, A and C, all have government lay members, 2 votes. While the member understands that the government do have stakeholding in regulatory body, but do their gravity so big that it should be included in 2 of the 3 options. And the member also think that, well, FRC have also an important stakeholding role. So why is it not included in one of the options?
Maybe I try to start off. As I briefly talked about earlier, I think the accountancy profession has a very important bearing in the whole Hong Kong financial market. And Hong Kong ICPA being a self-regulated body, we would like to demonstrate that we do protect public interest. And as we all mentioned, the whole council make that decision in terms of regulation of our accountancy profession. Whether the 6 council members, being lay members or government ex officio, has the important gravity to represent this in public interest, I think is subject to individuals' judgment. And as we said earlier, A and C try to demonstrate that we would like to involve this element in the selection of candidates. But these are not the only options that is available. We are open to any other ideas in terms of who could be eligible and who could be nominated as candidates of presidents and vice presidents. There has been a lot of discussions among task force, among council, and that is why we are in a point of time that we would like to go out and seek members' input on this very important aspect. Thank you.
Would the leadership team want to supplement?
Yeah, maybe I just very quickly. It is again. I thank you for the question. I think it's a very good platform here for members to throw up these kind of questions, because there are still confusion among members as to whether or not we are going to be altering the authority of the council as a whole, or whether or not we are just trying to elect a president or vice presidents of the institute. President and vice president of the institutes are one of, or just 3 of the council members among the 21 or even 23 council members. So we are not trying to alter the council as a whole. We are trying just to elect a president and 2 vice presidents for the institute. Members might have confusion, why are there so many layers of filtering? of criteria before ones may even get to be eligible to be a candidate of the president, vice president. I personally, I feel I understand their concerns. I understand very much their concerns, and that's why this is a very good forum to explain that we are trying to the members are trying to elect a president or vice president by using their one vote, one members, one vote system to elect a representative to represent them in the profession. The regulatory role, the council's function, everything would still remain the same. The oversight by the government on the institute's regulatory power and other aspects and other authority of the council will still, of the institute will still be there. Government and also the lay members still have a monitoring function on the functions of the institute. So I must sort of explain and set it straight here that we are trying to elect P and VP only, without altering the authority or the functions of the council or of the institute. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I have one more question in hand. Does the institute have a preliminary schedule to implement the one member, one vote? What will be the way ahead?
Maybe I will start again. Actually, because under the current proposal, we need to go through PAO amendment. And after the consultation end, management will certainly quickly consolidate all the inputs for council's consideration. And if we can get a majority of support from one of the options or framework, I think we could quickly make a proposal to the government. But given the current situation in Legislative Council, we are not sure the time we need to take for a legislative update. So we'll work as fast as possible based on majority input from members.
Thank you, Margaret. Well, we have already addressed all the questions submitted. So before the closing of the briefing session, may I check with the panelists if they have anything to conclude or supplement?
Yes, thank you, Wendy. Can I just very quickly supplement a little bit on just the answer to that last question? Yes, Margaret very correctly pointed out that the amendment of the PAO, the ordinance, will take years, especially with the changing of the structure of LegCo and the normal procedures of amending or enacting a new legislation would take years. So if members are concerned about the implementation timetable, of which we don't have because it would take years, is a matter of amending ordinance. They can have their own views expressed to us as to what they would like us to do. As I mentioned, there were some proposal about interim measures. If members wish to reconsider that, I think that is not a closed door for an interim measure. We explained about the difficulties or the risk of implementing a poll, because the obligation of council members to vote in accordance with the poll might be subject to legal challenge. But I want to stress that the poll, the conducting of the poll itself, the process itself, is a valid option. It's legitimate. The conducting of the poll itself is legitimate. It's only that the obligation of council members voting in accordance with the poll might be subject to legal challenges. So that is my supplement to the answer to the last questions. One very quick closing remarks. before I pass it to the two vice presidents for their supplement, would be I hear that there are very different views, a lot of different views, different comments and advice from members. There are members showing their concerns about support from different stakeholders because of the role that we play as an accountant in the community, in the financial market in Hong Kong. I fully understand. And there are also other views as well expressed, saying that the current proposal, we have too many layers, too many filtering of candidates. We're touching on matters which is not to do with P and VP. I understand that as well, because they want a more straightforward election. So that is exactly why we are here, using this proposal as a catalyst, as a stimulator, to stimulate members to provide us with your views. So my closing remarks would be, please give us your views and encourage your CPA friends, your relatives, your CPA's colleagues to give us your views right in. As many CPA's views as possible, that would enable us to carry out our work in accordance with the majorities of members' recommendation. So thank you for the time. I pass it to the two VPs for their closing words. Thank you.
Okay, Rosalind, Vice President, as we explained in our first forum, the current leadership team, the current management of the Institute, the current council members, and most of our members as well, I believe, we all respect the regulatory function of the Institute, and we respect the government appoint lay members to the council to oversight the public interests of the accountancy sector. And therefore, we are open to all different views. And we encourage the feedback of all of you. And also, we believe any changes on the elections of presidents and vice president should not and will not affect the voting rights of the lay members on all council matters. After all, we collectively be responsible for all the decisions that we made. And I hope we are all having open-minded for the changes there will be. And I hope we all contribute our ideas to it, to the consultation paper. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Ken. The last thing is, so thank you for your joining this section, so you have a better understanding of the proposal, and your opinion is welcome. And the last thing I want to mention is really appreciate the job done by the management team over the last 3 years, because it is never an easy task, and given the complexity of the election models. And I appreciate the work done by the task force, the governance committees, as well as the independent working groups. Now it is on your shoulders. Please let us know your views so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for the closing remarks. Now our briefing sections today comes to an end, and thank you all members for your views and participation. Last but not least, please visit our website to read the consultation paper and related documents and fill out the questionnaire afterwards. This forum is recorded and will be available online for members who cannot attend the briefing section today. Thank you and have a nice day.